to the April 22nd, 2020 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. I'm Candace Breyer, Chairperson of the Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is in accordance with executive orders from the governor to effect social distancing and mitigate the spread of the COVID-19 virus. We intend to conduct this meeting similarly to an in-person meeting. However, please be patient if there are technical issues. The Zoning Board of Appeals is a 9-person volunteer board nominated by the mayor and approved by the City Council. First, we will hear from the Planning Services Department, represented tonight by Mr. John Barrett. Then the applicant or his or her representative will make their presentation. Applicants will have 5 minutes in which to make their presentations. Staff will keep time and will announce when 30 seconds are remaining. We may ask questions of either the city or the applicant. We will acknowledge any written comments received by the board. We will allow an appearing party to express their support or objections. Public comment will be via telephone only. To speak during any of the public comment periods, please call 888-788-0099 and enter meeting ID 992-6028-3812. This information is also available on the published agenda, in the public notices section of the city website, and on the broadcast of this meeting on CTN Channel 16, AT&T Channel 99, and online at www.a2gov.org/watchctn. You need not have signed up in advance. In order to be called on to speak, callers must press *9 to raise their hand. Callers will then be called upon by city staff one by one using the last 3 numbers of their telephone number. Upon being called on, callers will hear an audible announcement that the host is allowing them to speak. We ask that callers start by stating their name and address and speak from a quiet place and mute any background noise such as television so that we can hear you directly. City staff will announce when callers have 30 seconds left of their 3-minute comment period. After 3 minutes, they will be placed on mute so that we can proceed to the next speaker. The board will discuss the appeal and formulate a motion to approve the appeal. 5 affirmative votes of the board will be required for an appeal to be granted. Finally, any qualified party who is aggrieved by a decision of the board can appeal that decision to the Washtenaw County Circuit Court on a timely basis. We have roll call. I am here. Mike Daniel.
Here.
Dave DeVarty.
DeVarty here.
Chris Fraley. Nicole Eisenman.
Here.
Todd Grant.
Here.
Elizabeth Nelson. I see Elizabeth. I think she might be frozen. All right, Charlotte Wilson.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Moving on to, oh, hold on one second. Let me find my agenda here. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes.
Motion from Todd. Do I have support?
Support.
Support from Dave. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Moving on to approval of the minutes. We have minutes from our February 26th, 2020 ZBA meeting. Any comments or corrections to those minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the February meeting?
Yes.
Motion from Todd. Support?
Support from DeVarty.
Support from Dave. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? All right, we have approved the minutes. Moving on to public hearings. First, we have petition ZBA 20-003 1601 Shadford Road. Let me see here.
Yes, I am Kate Myers for KLA Development. We're representing the owner at 1601 Shafford.
All right, John, do you have your report ready?
Presentation. Yep, I'm going to share my screen right now with the PowerPoint. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The first petition this evening is ZBA 20-003. The address is 1601 Shadford Road. KLA Development, representing the property owners, is requesting relief from section 5.32.2, alteration to a non-conforming structure. The subject property is zoned R1C, single-family dwelling, and is non-conforming as it does not meet the average required front setback. The applicants are seeking to construct a 182 square foot second-story bedroom above an existing living room. The subject property is located at the intersection of Baldwin Avenue and Shadford Road. The home was built in 1950 and contains 1,650 square feet. The residence does not meet the average required front setback of 31.5 feet, which is determined from 1600 Morton Avenue, the property to the north. The subject property has a 13.4 foot front setback, and the proposed second story will not encroach further as it will be built to the existing setback. The proposed second story bedroom and closet are part of an interior remodel project that will include a new kitchen on the first floor. If you'll turn your attention to your monitors and follow along in the PowerPoint. The first slide this evening is the location map. You'll see the highlighted parcel at the center of your screen at the corner of Shadford and Baldwin. The next slide is the aerial photo showing the property and surrounding neighborhoods and conditions. The third slide is the aerial zoom slide, and the proposed addition is going to be in this back corner back here, and the average front setback is coming off the property directly to the north at 1600 Morton. This is the survey that was submitted by the applicant with their petition. You can see the 13.4 foot front setback from the property line to there, to the corner of the house. The next slides are the building plans and site plans that were submitted with the application. This slide showing the work where I'm circling with the cursor where the proposed second story addition is going to be. Next slides are elevations, showing the elevation looking directly at the property to the north, and you see the work that will be conducted right there. And then on the side elevation with the new addition right there. Just a floor plan showing the additions, the proposed addition. These are the photos that I took when I made my inspection of the site. This is looking directly at the front of the property. This is looking down Baldwin Avenue, or yes, Baldwin, and looking at the side of the property. This is looking at the existing rear of the property. You see the existing one-story addition. There's 2 stories proposed to go back up on top, directly on top of the existing one-story structure there. This is looking at the detached garage in the back. This is looking directly towards the rear of the property from the back property line. One more view of the property as it relates to the side setback and the front setback out on Shadford Road. Adjacent property in the gray house to the east. And this is the property at 1600 Morton and what's creating the average front setback for this subject property. That sits 31 feet off of their property line on the side. You can see the property line stake in the corner, and it's just looking out onto Baldwin Avenue. That's the end of the presentation. I can take any questions at this time that you may have.
Thanks, John. Any questions for staff? Okay, if the petitioner would like to start your presentation, you'll have 5 minutes.
So outside of what John very clearly laid out, we were looking to add some livable square footage to the house that would be above grade while taking up as little space as possible. So it would be a bedroom and a closet above the existing square footage, which is currently living space in the new, in the plans that were submitted. That will now be a kitchen, and the existing kitchen is being turned into a mudroom and a half bath. Those are really the only, other than the fact that 1600 Morton is very different from the Shadford Road houses in both like the size of the lot. The 1601 Shadford does correspond very well to the Shadford properties. It would correspond closely to both 1620, which is on a corner, but then also 1518 and 1520, which are corner and just cross a road.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the petitioner? All right, seeing none, is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on this petition? If so, you'll have 3 minutes.
As a reminder to members of the public, if you would like to speak, make sure you press *9 to raise your hand on your phone.
All right. Caller ending in 985. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Well, I have a question regarding the property at 506 Hacker Street, but I don't know, it is the meeting for this, the public hearing.
That's the next one. This is a different
Oh.
public hearing.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry. I'll wait for the next one.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on the Shadford Road petition? All right, seeing no one, the board is in discussion. Dave?
Well, this is right in my neighborhood. I drive by this normally when I'm driving, which I pretty much staying at home these days, at least once or twice a day. It's the front setback is actually on Shadford. This is another one of those corner lots, and the narrow setback there, which you're calling a front setback, is actually the side of the house. My own feeling is, since this doesn't incur any further, or there's no further incursion into that side setback, or what's a front setback really, by our definition of corner lot setbacks, I see no reason to oppose this. It's a modest addition, doesn't change any of the setbacks. It's something that I can easily support.
Thanks, Dave. Todd?
Yes, I agree with Dave. I'm looking at section 2 of their application says that it's not going to cause the building footprint to encroach further into the setback. And since the 182 square foot bedrooms going on top, there's no change to the building envelope, and this is an easy approval for me. I would agree with Dave.
Okay. Yeah, Dave?
People are done with discussion. I'd prepared to make a motion.
Yes, please do.
Okay. Application ZBA 20-003, 1601 Shadford Road. Alteration to a non-conforming structure. The Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants relief from section 532.2, alteration to a non-conforming structure in order to allow construction of a 182 square foot second story bedroom above an existing room.
All right. All right. Thanks, Todd. We have support. We'll do a roll call vote. Please respond and then give a visual cue as well, just for confirmation. Charlotte?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Dave?
Dave DeVarty, yes.
Mike?
Mike Daniel, yes. I'll be giving thumbs up and thumbs down gladiator style.
Todd?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
I also vote yes. I think I got everybody. Motion is granted. The request is approved.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Moving on to petition ZBA 20-004, 506 Packard Street. John?
All right, ZBA 20-004, 506 Packard Street. Rob Fowler, representing the property owner, is requesting a relief from section 5.32.2, alteration to a non-conforming structure. The subject property is zoned R4C, multiple family dwelling, and is non-conforming as it does not meet the required lot area and setbacks for the district. The applicant is seeking to add habitable space in the basement to enlarge the overall size of the bedrooms for the entire unit. The number of bedrooms per unit will not increase. The subject property is located at the intersection of Packard Street and Cross Street. The home was built in 1901 and is 2,144 square feet in size. The house is currently registered as a duplex with 6 bedrooms in each unit. The proposed basement changes will include 4 bedrooms, 2 in each unit, and a bathroom for each unit. All construction will be interior with the exception of egress window wells, and the building footprint will not be expanded. After renovations are completed, the structure will remain a duplex for a total of 12 bedrooms in the entire structure. If you turn your attention to the PowerPoint, you'll see the first slide is the location map showing the location of the subject property at the corner of Cross Street and Packard. The next slide is an aerial map showing the subject property, surrounding neighborhoods, and existing conditions. The next slide is the zoomed in aerial photo of the property and how it currently exists. Next slide is the survey that was submitted with the application. This next slide is the existing first floor plan. You'll see it's split in half. One unit is on the left and one unit is on the right. The next slide is the existing second floor. The next slide is the existing basement, and the applicant's wanting to increase the habitable area in this unit, this side, and creating 2 bedrooms. Next slide is the new first floor, proposed first floor plan. Next slide is the second floor plan, 3 bedrooms on each side. And the next slide is the new basement, showing the right unit with bedrooms 5 and bedroom 6 and a bathroom. Adjacent, other side, almost mirror, 2 bedrooms and a bath. These are the photos that I took when I completed my inspection. You'll see the subject property and how it currently exists. Looking down the between the 2 houses out onto Packard Street. This is the rear of the property, parking area. More parking area. This is the rear of the home. This is looking down Cross Street. You see the existing duplex on the left. And like I said, this will the footprint of this property will not change. If there's any questions, I can take them at this time. Yes, Dave.
Thanks, John. Dave?
John, I see in the photo a car parked at the side of the building, between the building and Cross Street. Is that a legitimate parking space? Because that's really in the setback, isn't it?
That's correct. That vehicle should not be parked there.
Is that paved or gravelled so that it's set up to be a parking space?
No, it's not. You can't park in the front setback.
But I'm just wondering, has the owner prepared it in a way that makes it seem like it's a parking place?
I think that someone was parked illegally the day I was out there. They're aware that you can't park in the front setback like that.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for staff? All right, if the petitioner would like to speak, you have 5 minutes.
Yes, my name is Rob Fowler. I'm the builder for the property. And essentially, the first 4 bedrooms are very small. They're in the 80 square foot range, and especially the living room on 508 Packard, that's under 90 square feet. So what we're trying to do is to make this house nicer for the students and be more competitive with new high rises and all the new student housing coming online, so we can move these bedrooms up to roughly between 120 to 160 square feet each, and then we will be adding 100 square feet of living room area to 508 Packard as far as the common living area, where you can add about 100 square feet to that. And virtually it's going to be, the work that's going to be done is going to be invisible as far as from the street, other than if they see the window wells.
All right, thank you. Questions for the petitioner? Dave?
So as I was looking at the pictures from the site, I have to apologize today. Normally I make site visits, but I did not today. Are there existing egress windows right now for people in their basement, and where are those?
The basement is not finished, so there are some large windows on the side. My new egress window wells, there's going to be 2 on the side and 2 on the back. I guess 1 on each side, and then the other 2 window wells will be on the back of the property.
So 2 window wells on the west side?
No, 1 on each side.
Or 1 on the north, 1 on the south,
And then
2 on the west.
Correct.
And so 2 egress windows for each unit of the 2 units.
Yes, 1 for each bed.
So it looked like the existing floor plan had bedroom number 6 already existing in the basement, but how can that be if there's not an egress window already there?
Existing basement. Wasn't aware that there was a bedroom down there.
I thought that's what the floor plan showed.
Well, yeah, I see that there's stairways, in that, stairwells. New basement. I thought I had the existing, if I remember, the plan, there was, stairwells in the basement going to the outside. Some sort of stairways.
Why? So there's an existing egress, but it's a stairway egress from
Exactly.
the basement.
Yes.
So the housing code would accept a living space down there because there's a means of egress.
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions for the petitioner? Yeah, Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, just to confirm, there's no change to the envelope of the building, correct, sir? Correct, Mr.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, Dave?
Can I go back to see the staff report with the plan, with the existing floor plan for the basement? Because I think you showed that, John.
There we go. So the, at the rear of the property.
What's the question, Dave?
I'm just, as I'm looking at this, there's a bedroom 7 there on the 508 on the north side there? That can't be right, can it be? Or it can't be up to code or meet code.
The petitioner may have to comment on that, but I believe that must be marked wrong because the maximum is going to be 6 bedrooms in each unit.
And then
that's
that's
what they've been certified as.
And then I'm also seeing this up. Is that, I don't know if you could see where I'm pointing right here. Well, maybe you can't, but yeah, right there. Is that an egress to the exterior?
Yes, that one is the egress to the exterior.
Okay, thank you. And
Yeah, Dave, go ahead.
if the petitioner could comment, are there 7 bedrooms or what the landlord claims to be 7 bedrooms in that 508?
I honestly can't tell you. I don't believe so. Like I said, I just believe that was a misprint by the architect, because I know housing goes through there. I know that we're only rated for 6 bedrooms for each unit,
Okay.
and that's the way we're going to keep it: 6 bedrooms per unit.
And then one more question. I think this is for John. Code is what, 1 or 1.5 spaces for parking spaces per unit,
That's correct. They'd be required 3 parking spaces.
which they have.
Correct.
As we increase or make it easier for greater numbers, that places a greater demand on parking, which may exceed what code requires. So that's a consideration for me.
We're not going to have any more people living in the house than what there currently
Okay.
is.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the petitioner? All right, if there is anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this petition, please call in. If you have already called in, please raise your hand and you will be called on.
Caller ending in 985, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Hello? Hello?
Hi,
Go
yes,
ahead,
go
we
ahead.
can hear
You
you.
have 3 minutes.
Okay. This is Julie, the owner of the house at 512 Packer, which is next to 506 Packer. I'm very concerned about this expansion of my neighbor because my neighbor has done a major renovation to add several bedrooms to today's situation, like a 6-bedroom on each side with a very limited house square footage and also a small lot. So it ended up that my neighbor has like at least 12 tenants live in that small house, and the tenant brought in will fill the 3 sides of narrow strip for parking. One is on my side. It's between we have a property line between my house and my neighbor at 506 Packer, and the tenant's car constantly fill the whole driveway and leaving no space. If we build a fence, then the car wouldn't be able to open the door. And the car is so close, sometimes over the property line, and park on our property. And it's a property encroachment. And also, my tenant in in apartment number 6 at basement has to come out. It's like a fire, also one of the fire escape at the door, come out the door and go out from the side of the building to the street. And because the whole driveway is filled with car and sometimes even over my property, and my tenant have to go around all the cars in order to get out to the street, which is a safety hazard, because if there's a fire and my tenant will have difficulty to get out. And I don't know why the city allowed this, and also, because also knowing that the house already in conform to a lot of building code, and now they want to even expand more living space. I wonder how they are going to handle the parking situation.
30 seconds remaining.
So if they insist to expand the living space investment, and I don't know, the window, the car will park very close to the window, how they are going to make a window well, and without parking over to my property. And
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this petition? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no one, we are in discussion. Mike?
So just to make sure I'm understanding this correctly, they're not increasing the footprint. They're not increasing the number of bedrooms, right, John?
They're not, no, they're accommodating the number of bedrooms to make them larger. They're increasing the number of bedrooms in one unit. But I'm sorry,
Okay.
no, they're not increasing the number of bedrooms. They're just increasing the bedroom habitable space to make the existing bedrooms larger.
Got it.
So
Got
there
it.
shouldn't be more than 6 occupants in each unit for a total of 12 occupants in the entire duplex.
Got it. Okay. I mean, given those two factors and that it's the non-conforming standard, I'm probably going to vote for this. I understand the last member of the public who owns the building next door is frustrated by what's happening with the parking, but that to me isn't a zoning issue. That's just a compliance with parking issue where she needs to take it up with the other property owner. And if that property owner is letting his tenants park in her property, there's another remedy for that. So, yeah, what they're trying to do here, given the non-conforming standard, I'm fine with it.
Todd, go ahead.
I agree with Mike's analysis.
Dave?
Since there is not ostensibly an increase in tenancy, although it looks to me like the landlord may already be pushing the envelope, I'm going to vote for this. It's the standards for an alteration to a non-conforming structure are not as stringent as for a variance, and I believe that this meets those standards. Everybody on the board knows of my concern with parking, especially in this neighborhood, and I sympathize with the neighbor. I would only say to the neighbor that if you find that the tenants in this unit, in this residence, are parking into your property, you might want to put a nice fence along your property line. And I know that you can, not a tall fence, but you can legally put a short fence along your property line, and that would reduce the amount of incursion of cars onto your property. So I would say that as a way potentially for the neighbor to address their concerns with cars intruding onto their property, which I'm sorry about the parking shortages in these neighborhoods where there are more and more tenants, and as much as some people think that everybody's going to walk and ride bicycles, most of them come with cars. So, but I will be voting for this.
Thanks, Dave. Any further discussion, or we're ready for a motion?
I'm prepared. Application ZBA 20-004, 506 Packard Street. Alteration to a non-conforming structure. The Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants relief from section 5.32.2, alteration to a non-conforming structure in order to add a new bedroom in the basement. This new space will help to enlarge the overall size of all the bedrooms. The number of bedrooms per unit will not increase.
Thank you, Dave. We have a motion. Do we have support?
Support.
Support from Charlotte. Thank you. All right. Mike,
Yes.
Todd,
Yes,
Elizabeth, sorry, Elizabeth, I didn't hear what you.
I didn't hear you until just now. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Nicole,
Yes.
Charlotte,
Yes.
Dave.
DeVarty, yes.
I also vote yes. The request is approved. Moving on to petition ZBA 20-007, 215 Packard Street. I will note that the applicant has requested that this item be postponed from tonight's meeting to the June
Hold on
Zoning
one
Board of
second.
Appeals.
1 second, sorry to interrupt, Candace. You said 215, this is 7 Ridgeway.
Oh, did I? What am I
Yep.
reading then?
That's okay.
Oh, you're right. Sorry. My mistake. This is ZBA 20-005 Ridgeway Street.
Correct.
My mistake.
You're fine.
Yes, so this petitioner has requested postponement of this agenda item from tonight's meeting to our June ZBA meeting.
June 24th.
Yes, as this petition has been noticed for public hearing and advertised, the Zoning Board of Appeals will proceed with a public hearing tonight and will take comments from anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this petition. But we will then move to postpone the item until our June meeting. The staff presentation and full discussion will not be occurring at tonight's meeting. We will have another public hearing at the June 24th ZBA meeting with full discussion, full presentation by the applicant, and staff report will be presented at that time. So at this time, I will open the public hearing for 7 Ridgeway. If anyone from the public wishes to speak on that tonight, but again, this petition, no action will be taken on it this evening. It will be postponed. Yes, Todd.
Yeah, so I have a question. So we're doing the public part of the comments tonight, but not in June, or are we doing them both now and in June? I'm just concerned about dividing the whole presentation like this.
We will be taking public comment in June. So when this petition comes back before us in June, it will be the full presentation, the full staff report, public comment, all of that will happen then. But because it was noticed, we are required to take any public comments tonight if anyone wishes to share them tonight. If not, and anyone wants to save their comments for the June meeting when we will be taking action, that's fine as well. But the petitioners will not be making any presentations at tonight's meeting. So if anyone from the public does wish to speak at this point, please raise your hand. Otherwise, we will be making a motion to postpone this agenda item until our June 24th meeting. All right, I am not seeing any public comment at this time, so can I get a motion to postpone this item to our June 24th meeting? I have a motion from Mike. Do I have support? Support from Nicole. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, this agenda item has been postponed until June. Now moving on to petition ZBA 20-007 215 Packard Street. John?
Do we not do the public comment at this time, or did no one want to do public comment?
I didn't see any,
Oh, okay. I'm
any
sorry.
public comment.
All right. The next petition is ZBA 20-007. The address is 215 Packard Street. Steve Kaplan, owner, is requesting relief from section 5.32.2, alteration to a non-conforming structure. The subject property is zoned R4C, multiple family dwelling, and is non-conforming as it does not meet the required lot area for the district. The applicant is seeking to add habitable space in the basement that will include 3 new bedrooms to adjoin the existing first floor apartment. The new unit will contain a total of 6 bedrooms, 3 in the basement and 3 on the first floor, and the other unit will remain a 4-bedroom unit. The subject property is located on the north side of Packard Street and between South 4th and South 5th Avenues. The home was built in 1894 and is 3,236 square feet in size. The non-conforming duplex is certified from the Rental Housing Department until April of 2023. The property will remain a duplex and the number of units will not increase. You'll turn your attention to the slides. The first slide is the location map. You see the subject property highlighted in yellow at the center of your screen, right along Packard. South 5th is to the east and South 4th is to the west. The next slide is the aerial photo showing existing neighborhoods and surrounding conditions. Next slide is the zoomed in aerial photo. You see the existing house and relationship to adjacent properties, parking lot back here. There's a large detached garage / barn in the back. This is the survey that was submitted with the application. The next slide shows the existing basement foundation plan. It's basically just a bare basement right now, cement walls. It is not finished habitable space. The next slide shows the proposed floor plan of the basement. There are proposed 3 bedrooms. There's one right here, another bedroom right here, and a bedroom right here, an auxiliary kitchen. Connection between the 2 units will be with a circular staircase right here. Next slide shows the first floor plans basement to the left and the first floor plan to the right, and that's the existing to the right. Next slide are the photos that I took in my inspection. You see the subject parcel property. Looking down the driveway between the subject property on the left and the adjacent property on the right. This is the structure from the rear elevation looking south. Next slide is the detached barn / garage accessory structure at the back of the property. Existing parking lot and how its current configuration. More of the parking lot. And that is the conclusion of my presentation at this time. I will take any questions that you may have.
Thank you, John. Any questions for staff? Yes, Todd.
I may have missed this, John. If you said it, I apologize. But my understanding is there's no change to the exterior envelope, correct?
That's correct. It's alteration to a non-conforming structure.
Okay. I'd just like to note it does not look like it was built in 1894.
It's had several
extensive improvements since then.
Lots of renovations and an ongoing construction project currently. Mr. Sutherland has joined us. He's representing the owner, Steve Kaplan, tonight.
Are there any other questions for staff before we turn to the petitioner? All right, you have 5 minutes to make your presentation. Thank you.
Actually, I believe Steve Kaplan, the owner, is in the meeting here.
Okay.
Steve, you need to unmute yourself. And then if you want to activate your video.
Okay.
I think Steve's.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Yeah, I'm not sure why you can't see me, but it's probably better for all of you that you can't. Yes, as someone remarked, this has been a project that we've been working on since 2012, 2013, where we did extensive work, and it was always contemplated that the basement space would be added at some point. Budgetary restrictions and other things like that kept us from doing it at the time. But when we redid the basement walls, we extended both the front and rear footings as well as basement walls so that we would provide below grade open air space for the living space in the basement. So when you're looking at those pictures of the house, you can see that there's substantial walls that are distanced from the actual structure of the house, and that's because both egress and open air space at the level of the floor of the basement are already there.
All right, are there any questions for the petitioner? right, seeing none, if there is anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this petition, please call in. If you have already called in, please raise your hand.
Caller ending in 755, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, this is Beverly Strassman. I'm the president of the Germantown Neighborhood Association, and I live at 545 South Fifth Avenue, and I'm speaking on behalf of our neighborhood association. We object to the petition because, first of all, it's unlike the previous petition in that this one will add 3 new bedrooms. So it will greatly increase density. There will be issues for parking and other associated density issues. And also we're concerned by the pattern in our neighborhood of a sort of 2-step process whereby somebody is disingenuous and intends to add basement bedrooms all along, but then doesn't do it in order to get the initial zoning variance, if you will. Maybe that's not the right word. And then later goes in and asks for the increase in density, riding on the fact that he's already built the sort of egress for that. So we think that this is not in good faith in terms of how he's acting in regard to the public. It sets a bad precedent. We know there's another one of these coming up at 532 South Fifth Avenue, where the developer didn't admit that he plans to put in basement space, but he's clearly got those bedrooms designed and will be coming to you asking for approval. So we ask that R4C be respected and honored, and we don't think that this is the right way to go about adding on to structures in our neighborhood. We think that the public is being tricked, that it's disingenuous, and that it will have a bad impact on our safety and welfare. Hello,
right,
did you
thank
hear me?
Yes, yes, thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on this petition? If so, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no one, we are in discussion. Todd?
Well, given the public comment, I now have an additional question for you, John. With the addition of the occupants, are they going to be violating any parking requirements?
No, as previously stated earlier tonight, duplex for multifamily, they require 1.5 parking spaces per unit. So this unit would require 3 spaces, and there's at least 5 to 7 spaces in the back. I know they have enough parking back there. And it is at the edge of campus. So, I mean, they have enough parking.
Thank you.
Dave?
2 things. I want to note that we had a letter on this property that came to us today from a Kathleen Connell. I'm not sure if, Candace, if you have that, or if, John, you would want to put that into the record.
It was submitted to us after 5 o'clock, I believe, today. So we did forward it to Candace, and it will be part of the record.
Okay. So one other question, the previous speaker from the public referenced previous variance. Did this come before the board for a variance anytime in the past few years?
It did in 2013. But I think the owner might be able to speak on that additionally.
Yes,
Mr.
can you hear me?
Kaplan? Yeah.
Yeah, so we did come for a variance in 2013. We were always up in all of my discussions with the city. from the very beginning, submitting the plans, we were always very, very clear about our intention to use the basement space as well. The floor plan, the layout of the space, it's all pretty obvious. There was no, underhanded secret plot here at all. We just couldn't do it all at once.
Was this, Steve, you were straightforward with the city staff. Did you tell the ZBA at that time that you intended to add space in the basement?
Yes.
And knowing that, the ZBA granted the variance?
Yes. Another thing, can I still speak? Can you hear me?
Yes, real quickly, go ahead.
Oh yeah, just as an aside, I mean, looking at lot sizes versus even the prior applicant up the street on Packard, I'm below the maximum occupancy of a duplex of this size by a couple of bedrooms, and yet my lot size is close to triple the one that just went before it. So I think on a density per square foot of land, comparison, I'm nowhere near imposing the level of density that exists all around me.
Yeah, I will add to that. The current lot has 8,276 square feet and the requirement's 8,500. So this lot is just shy of that by 224 square feet.
All right, any further discussion? If not, are we ready for a motion? Dave?
ZBA 20-007, 215 Packard Street. Alteration to a non-conforming structure. The Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants relief from section 532(2), alteration to a non-conforming structure in order to allow new habitable space consisting of 3 new bedrooms in the basement adjoining Unit 1 on the first floor. The construction must be built per the submitted plans.
I have a motion from Dave. Do I have support?
Support.
Support from Mike. Thank you. Todd?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes. I've already, yes.
I also vote yes. Nicole?
Yes.
Charlotte? All right, the request is granted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, board. Thank you, John.
Moving on to petition ZBA 20-008, 245 Park Lane Avenue. John?
ZBA 20-008, 245 Park Lane Avenue. J. Bradley Moore and Associates Architects, representing the property owner, are requesting a 10-foot variance on the Lakeview side of the property and a 5-foot variance on the Park Lake side of the property from section 5.18.5, averaging an established front building line. The property is zoned R1B, single-family residential, and is a corner lot at the intersection of Park Lake Avenue and Lakeview Drive. The property is directly across the street from the first and second sister lakes in the Dolph Nature area. The owner is seeking to construct a new single-family home consisting of approximately 2,900 square feet. The vacant parcel is 9,757 square feet in size. The average required front setback is calculated on the 2 parcels to the east on Lakeview Drive and the 2 parcels to the south on Park Lake Avenue. The parcels to the east have a 40-foot required front setback, and the same calculation applies to the 2 parcels to the south on Park Lake Avenue, which results in a 35-foot setback. The proposed new single-family home will have 3 bedrooms with an optional 4th bedroom or a home office. The home will also contain a 2-car garage. Turn your attention to the slides. The first slide is the location map showing the subject property highlighted. And you see it at the corner of Lakeview and Park Lake. And Gulf Nature areas to the west. You see the aerial photo of the subject property and the surrounding neighborhood and existing conditions. This is a zoomed in aerial photo. And so the 2 properties to the east are through lots. And when you apply the maximum front setback of 40 on both sides, that creates a 40-foot setback for this side, and then a 30-foot setback for this subject property, and 40. Divide by 2, you get 35. So it's a 35-foot setback on this side, 40 on the Lakeview side, requesting to reduce that down to 30 feet on both sides. The next slide is the survey that was submitted with the application. You can see the requested variance of the 30 feet on both sides, on the Lakeview and the Park Lake side, and then the proposed building envelope that's created with the setbacks. The next slide is a site plan showing the proposed floor plan and foundation plan of the single-family home. And it's also a topographical map showing the differences in elevation, and the architect or the applicant will probably speak more to that. And these are the floor plans that were submitted with the application. The second floor plan, you see the kitchen, dining room, and the living room. And the proposed third floor plan and the bedrooms. These are the elevations that were submitted. You see a south elevation and a west elevation. This is looking with my back, basically your back to the road, looking directly at the subject property or the proposed single family home. More elevations from the north and the east. These are the photos that I took. The property is vacant, so these are the existing conditions. Just looking down Park Lake Avenue and looking up Lakeview Drive. I will take any questions at this time.
Thanks, John. Nicole?
Oh, I'm looking at the drawing C1.0, and I'm curious. I lost it. I'm curious. The building doesn't seem to fill the entirety of that requested setback. Of it seems to be smaller than that. So I'm curious why we're looking to approve a variance for something that doesn't align with what has been designed, and why we're not looking at what the variance against what has actually been designed and presented.
Okay, so the architect might comment further on that, but my knowledge of it is, I think you're asking why the home doesn't fill up the envelope. So why are they, why are they requesting for the variance? Because it doesn't fill up the entire envelope. I think it has to do something with the topography, the terrain, and they're going to have to do additional cutting back into that sloping terrain, because it does go up significantly, the back of the property.
Thank you.
Todd?
Yes, I noticed, John, both you and the applicant described it as a modest home. It really is not. They're proposing in my opinion, they're proposing a 4-bedroom, 3-story home. The current size of the average US home of existing homes is about 1,600 to 1,700 feet. New homes are averaging about 2,700 feet. So my sense of this is they're trying to obviously make more money, max out as big a home as they can put on the lot. It's a very nice location. It's going to have a lake view. But the problem I'm going to have with this, and I'm going to need a comment from Mr. Moore, is one of the 5 criteria is that this is the minimum needed to reasonably use the property. And I just don't see it at this point. So I'm leaning toward a no, but I always like everybody else's comments, and I'll wait before I decide until I've heard everything.
Just a quick comment on that. I try to remain as neutral as possible at these proceedings and with my reports, and I do a lot of paraphrasing of, and that's basically a paraphrase of exactly what the applicant put with the application.
Dave, go ahead.
John, the R1B, what is the, without the averaging aspect, what would the setback requirement be?
30
Without
feet.
average? How much?
30 feet.
30 feet, okay. And then quick question, another quick question. When you showed the elevations, the west elevation is facing the lake, I believe, on that site. Is the garage, that big garage door, is that facing the lake, or is that, that's coming off of, across from Dolph Lake, right?
That's correct. The garage and the driveway access will be off of Park Lake Avenue, directly across from the nature area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? All right, the petitioner will have 5 minutes.
Good evening. I'm having a very choppy audio here on my end. I hope you guys are hearing me clearly. The home is built into the slope on the site, so it has what is commonly referred to as a walkout basement. The level that you enter the garage at the street level is what would normally be the basement level of the house. And then the living spaces are above that. So your vehicular entrance is into the walkout side of a basement level. And that's where your foyer and finished entry space are. Because of the slope on the site, which is high on the east and low on the west. This precludes having the kind of normal basement space a regular house would have. And so we've tried to accommodate the owner's needs or desires to have that kind of basement storage space in the garage portion. And that's why the garage portion of the house is deep. And it's that extension of the garage which creates the incursion into the front setback averaged distance. This is not a neighborhood that has an established front setback line like you'd find in the old west side of Burns Park. The setback distances vary all over the place in this neighborhood. I don't know if, John, if you could throw out the aerial map that shows the properties that are adjacent to this, but they're through properties that have frontage on one street, and they go very long and deep, and then have frontage on another street. And that's what creates this averaging issue, is because of the irregular layout of this neighborhood. So you can see that in the case of the property to the east, it fronts on Andrea and goes straight through onto the sides of the street that goes off Parkland there. This is also true for the next property, which has another very long straight through. And the homes that are on those lots that are the through lots are shifted all the way up to Andrea. So there really isn't any consistent front setback in this neighborhood like you'd find in a traditional old west side of Burns Park neighborhood. So we're not trying to align the house with any neighborhood zones.
If anyone, I can add something to Todd's previous comment. Todd, you had stated that the owner was, or about possible, maximizing profits or potential of income. It has been conveyed to me that the owner of this property, Mr. Kafai, this is actually going to be his personal home. He's going to live there. So I think he's going to build it and it's not for sale. Is that correct, Mr. Moore?
It's my understanding.
Yeah.
All right, any questions for the petitioner? Dave?
So the home we're considering at this one is the owner of the property is going to be there. And you already said that you've made architectural decisions based on the homeowner's request. So it sounded to me from that testimony that you are building it for somebody. The next item on our agenda immediately next door, is that going to be a property built on spec, or do you have an staff or somebody, a client who's already on board for that building, which is the next proposal?
Well, my belief is that one is on spec, although he may already have obtained a buyer. He hasn't told me that he has, but when we started designing it for the builder, he was the client. I thought, I know he's been marketing it since we designed it. So the basic scenario is he would build them side by side, one for himself and then one to sell. I can't tell you that I know whether the one that he intended to sell is sold or under contract. I don't know.
Any other questions for the petitioner? Nicole?
Mr. Moore, can you address my question from earlier about why we were looking at approving a setback variance for when the property doesn't, the design building doesn't, reach those extents? Why aren't we looking to approve a variance for the portion of the design that encroaches into the setbacks versus, what's shown here, 30 feet requested, the building is still within those and, could be built larger potentially from what's shown here.
The request was for the minimal setback, which is off the Park Lake, which is to the west. We were able to shift the house around and get it a little bit farther from the street that's to the north. If you wanted to amend the motion to have the second front setback at the 33-foot 5, I'd be happy with that. We picked an area.
That was a little difficult to understand. I think Mr. Moore said that they would be willing to amend the petition to reduce the setback request on the north side along the Lakeview side. Is that correct? Down to what, 35 feet or?
33. Well, the proposed setback right now is 33 feet 5 inches.
So I guess, Nicole, instead of a 30-foot setback, it'd be 33.5. So instead of a full 10 feet, it'd be a 6.5-foot variance request on that north elevation.
Understood.
Todd, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just a little confused. I think the lake is to the west of the property. So we're talking about an adjustment of the envelope of the building that's on the west side, correct?
No, I think he was talking about the north. I'm not sure. I thought it was the north on Lakeview side.
Maybe we should ask him.
Brad, is that correct? The Lakeview side, not the Park Lake side?
So there would be a difference in the setbacks being requested. The setback from the west which is the side that faces the lake, would be the 30 foot. The setback to the north would be 33 foot 5 inches.
Yeah, that's what I told you before, Nicole. That's correct. So they're actually reducing the setback variance request from 10 feet down to 6.5 for that north side.
I just want to note quickly, I appreciate the applicant's willingness to work on the fly, but it makes me nervous when we start amending requests in the meeting. I think if the applicant is comfortable with a different setback request, that the applicant needs to resubmit with that request noted in his application, instead of us trying to come up with something in the course of the meeting that fits the drawings. That's just my opinion, but we can discuss that, I guess, more when we get to the discussion portion of this proposal. Any other questions for the petitioner? All right, seeing none, if there's anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this agenda item, please call in. If you have called in, please raise your hand and we will acknowledge you by phone number.
Caller ending in 087. You will have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, this is Chad LaJoy in 3107 Andrea Court, just off the embankment from these houses. I guess the only comment, one comment, sort of one request that I had is, as noted already, the embankment here is somewhat steep. So I guess I just wanted to make sure that the retaining wall was well formed, and that we weren't going to see any sort of sliding of the embankment. And then as far as the request, there was a bunch of trees taken out of the lots, obviously in order to build there. My request is just if the owners could replace some of those trees on their lot plant some new trees on the lot once the construction is complete. As far as the actual variance, for what it's worth, I don't necessarily have an objection to it. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. If there's anyone else from the public that wishes to speak on this petition, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no one, we are in discussion. Dave.
Well, for a variance, I'm looking at the standards for approval, and there are two standards here which I'm not sure it really meets. Standard 2, the practical difficulty which will result from a failure to grant the variance includes substantially more than mere inconvenience and or inability to attain a higher financial return. And then the 5th standard, a variance shall be the minimum variance that will make possible a reasonable use of the land or structure. Now, these are substantial lots, this one and the next one on our agenda. And I feel that a substantial building of this kind of square footage could be built without these variances. But at the same time, I look at our standard for R1B, which is a 30-foot setback. And I'm looking at, here's a new development coming into an R1B zoning district. And given that it's not, there's not any substantial conflict with neighbors and residents, that I don't see any reason why we shouldn't just say, okay, you can have the variance. It meets our regulations for the minimum for that setback that we have in our regulations. So I think I'm going to vote for this, not hearing any opposition for any reason to these buildings as having a detrimental effect on the neighborhood. I would second the neighbor who spoke to the developer here, to the architect, and strongly encourage you to add in some natural features in the way of trees to replace any trees that have been removed. And I think it would be a substantial benefit to this area, which is just a phenomenal nature area.
Thank you, Dave. Any other discussion? Todd?
Yeah, my thinking is paralleling Dave's. One hand, I think they could have built something smaller, but I don't see any negative impact to neighbors. The lot next door obviously is the next proposal. So they sort of balance out. Seeing this also reminds me, I haven't been to the Sister Lakes in probably over 10 years. It's a nice little part of Ann Arbor. So the owner's going to have a very nice view across the road.
Any other discussion? Charlotte?
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to make a remark about, Candace had said earlier about having them change the plans to address that variance change and come back to this board. But I do want to also thank members DeVarty and member Grant about their comments, because I also agree with what they were saying.
Anyone else with discussion? I will say I'm struggling a little bit with this one. While I agree that this neighborhood is definitely unique, and the lots that are adjacent that are skewing the average front setback to a certain degree, being double frontage lots, it is definitely a situation that's unique to these two. Also with them being new lots that are adjacent, that are both being constructed at the same time, I think the general perception that no harm, no foul is probably the correct one. It does bother me a little bit that we're granting a variance that's not the minimum necessary, and that the applicant has acknowledged that it's not the minimum necessary. So it's kind of, I'm hung up a little bit on that, I will admit. But yes, if anyone else has discussion, now's the time. Otherwise, I think we're ready for a motion. Nicole.
Thank you for saying all that, Candace, because I'm feeling the same way. And it's going to be a kind of tough decision for me.
I know it was difficult to understand Mr. Moore at some points, but just to reiterate, Candace, what you said, it is a unique situation due to the fact because the adjacent lots are through lots, and literally we're taking the setback average off of these people's rear yards, even though it's considered a front yard. And so that's what I think Mr. Moore was talking about. The positioning of the other homes are on Andrea Court, and you're taking the setback average off of homes from a completely different public right of way. So in that respect, like you said, it is a very unique situation.
Yeah, we've also, my memory is in the past, we've had at least several other occasions where people come forward with a variance problem because they have a corner lot. And of course, that means under the the ordinance that essentially got 2 front yards. So it's always a tough situation.
Dave?
For me, I understand your worry about the minimum necessary. However, this is, it does meet the standards for R1B, the 30-foot setback. And to me, that's the determining factor. And that's why I will vote for this. If they were coming closer than 30 feet, or if we saw an outpouring of neighborhood opposition to say, okay, maybe they should have something, the minimum necessary, but absent any negative impact on the neighborhood, I can't see why we can't just grant what our regulatory standards allow.
That was well said, Dave.
Thank you, Dave. Any other discussion? All right, I think we're ready for a motion. Yeah, say, Dave.
I'm ready for the motion. ZBA 20-008, 245 Park Lake Avenue, variance. Based on the following findings and in accordance with the established standards for approval, the Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants the following variance. Says from Chapter 55 Unified Development Code, a 5-foot variance from Section 5.18.5, averaging an established front building line on the Park Lake frontage, and a 10-foot variance along the Lakeview Drive frontage.
I have a motion from Dave. Do I have support?
Yes.
Support from Todd. Mike?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Todd was a yes. Dave?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
Charlotte?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
I also vote yes. The request is approved. Moving on to petition ZBA 20-009, 255 Park Lake Avenue. John?
ZBA 20-009, address 255 Park Lake Avenue. J. Bradley Moore and Associates Architects, representing the property owner, are requesting a 6.67-foot variance from Section 5.18.5, averaging an established front building line. The property is zoned R1B, single-family residential, and is located directly across the street from the first and second sister lakes in the Dolphin Nature area. The owner is seeking to construct a new single-family home consisting of approximately 2,750 square feet. The vacant parcel is 10,280 square feet in size. The average required front setback is calculated from the property directly to the north and the 2 parcels to the south. The parcel to the north has a 30-foot required front setback, and the 2 properties to the south both have 40-foot required front setbacks. The proposed new single-family home will have 3 bedrooms, 2,750 square feet of living space, and a 2-car garage. You'll turn your attention to this PowerPoint. You'll see the first slide is the location map, and the subject property is highlighted in yellow in the center, directly adjacent to the south of the petition we just had. Next slide is the aerial map showing surrounding properties and existing conditions. This is the zoomed in aerial photo of the vacant parcel. Next slide is the site plan with the requested variance and the building envelope. Next slide is the site plan showing the proposed home and its relationship to the building envelope and the requested variance and the foundation of the proposed single-family residence. Next slides are the floor plans that were submitted with the application. and the second floor plan that was submitted with the application. Elevation looking to the to the north and the east, which would be the east. This is the back of the home, and this is the side. And Dolph Park would be over here. North elevation and east elevation. Excuse me. These are the photos of the vacant parcel that I took when I was at the site conducting my inspection. You can see the embankment or the terrain, how it slopes, and the abutting property in the home that's abutting out onto Andrea Court. That's the end of my presentation, and I will take any questions at this time.
Thank you, John. Any questions for staff? All right, the petitioner, you'll have 5 minutes.
This is a lot that's adjacent to the corner lot. Because we did not have the requirement of 2 front setbacks on this lot, we were able to take the square footage and do a house that is more linear in 1 story, less in height. It still has the same topography, which throws the walkout level of the home towards Park Lake. Again, we have a finished walkout lower level with living space and the same garage configuration with the storage space. I am sympathetic to the previous input on the public hearing portion, and I will definitely encourage my client to plant more trees to help offset the ones that had to be removed in the building envelope.
All right, thank you. Any questions for the petitioner? All right, if there is anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this petition, please call in. Once you've called in, please raise your hand and you will be called by phone number.
Caller is 087. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, hi, this is Chad again, the property up the hill. With this one, I was hoping the builder could answer a question for me. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the elevation correctly. If I'm looking at this correctly, basically the roof line is going to be level with the first floor of or at least partially blocking the first floor of my place as I look west. Is that accurate? Am I reading the elevation correctly?
I don't have topography. We did not do the survey of the lots, so I don't have the topography off-site going eastward, but it looks like there's a continuing rise going east beyond the common property line. I can't tell you that I know where the ridge line of the house falls relative to any of the structures east of the house. So because the civil engineering survey documents that were provided to me don't include that information. But we definitely tried to be sympathetic to the views of that house by putting the lower of the 2 houses on this site.
Okay. Yeah, I think for me that's my concern with this particular property. But, you know, I'm not sure what if any remedy there there is for that, but I do worry about the obstruction of view that it might impose.
All right, thank you very much. If there's anyone else from the public who wishes to speak on this petition, please call in and raise your hand.
Caller ending in 039, you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, I'm Craig Salveson. I'm actually on 7 Ridgeway, but I was prevented from calling in by technical difficulties. Is there any chance that I can be allowed some time at the end to address that issue? It's important to me that I be able to speak to it now rather than in June, if that's okay. If not, I understand. Thank you.
Yes, we can allow you to speak at the very end of the meeting during the open public comment period.
Perfect. I apologize for butting in. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to speak on this petition, please raise your hand. All right, seeing no one, we are in discussion. Todd.
Well, this is with a couple of small ripples, really deja vu all over again since we did the difficult work on number 5.
Any further discussion, or are we ready for a motion? Todd?
Sorry, I wanted to add to my comment. I am one of the criteria, of course, is negatively affecting neighbor properties. I don't think we have enough information to know for sure that it's going to block his first-story view, but obviously these are vacant lots between him and the lake, and he and whoever else is living in the home have been enjoying a nice view of the lake. So that weighs on me a little bit, but it is a vacant, it is an unimproved lot.
Dave.
I think by granting the variance and allowing it basically to meet the existing regulations of a 30-foot setback, it increases the possibility of putting in the amount of desired square footage without building a second story. And I have to compliment the builder or the owner and recognizing that having a 1-story as opposed to 2 stories on this site will really reduce the amount of conflict with neighbors to the east. So in a way, it's almost an argument about why we should grant the variance to allow them to put that square footage on a lower level or to reduce. And, the architect, I'm sure, can look at lowering even the level, since you're building into the slope, maybe the main story, the first story can be a little bit below grade at the height of that slope anyway, and reduce the height of the building. I think there are a lot of ways for the builder to take into consideration the concerns of the neighbors, and it sounds like they're willing to consider that. I'll be voting for this.
Thanks, Dave. Any other discussion? Not, I think we're ready for a motion. Dave?
ZBA 20-009, 255 Park Lake Avenue. Variance based on the following findings in accordance with the established standards for approval. The Zoning Board of Appeals hereby grants the following variance from Chapter 55, Unified Development Code, a 6.67, or a 6.67 foot variance from Section 518.5, averaging an established front building line for the required front setback.
A motion from Dave. Do I have support? Support from Mike. Dave?
Yes.
I also vote yes. Mike?
Yes.
Charlotte?
Yes.
Todd?
Yes.
Elizabeth?
Yes.
Nicole?
Yes.
The request is granted. Moving on, we have no unfinished business. New business, it is time for our annual organizational meeting and election of officers. So we have a chairperson and a vice chairperson. Do we have any nominations for chairperson?
I was just going to say real briefly, Kristen and I discussed this prior. Obviously, every April we do it. You guys don't have to do it tonight if you don't want to. You can vote to extend it to the next time we have an in-person meeting, or you can do it now. It's completely up to you guys.
Dave?
I nominate Candace to be chair.
Thanks, Dave. I'm happy to give it up if anyone else wants it.
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
I agree. I've been watching that Jordan documentary. They never should have broke up the Bulls. You don't break up a dynasty like this. You don't have to.
Oh, thanks, guys. Any other nominations for chairperson? All right, all in favor of renewing my role as chairperson, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thanks everyone. Now on to vice chair. Dave is currently our vice chairperson. Do we have any nominations for vice chair?
I'm going to nominate Dave again. When he stepped in, that was something. He did a great job.
I was going to say I'm willing to do it. It's easy to pinch hit for Candace. And but if anybody else wants to do it, I'm happy to step aside.
All right, any other nominations for vice chair? No, all right. All in favor of renewing Dave's term as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, congratulations, Dave. You have a second term as vice chair.
Thank you.
We have review of bylaws. I believe the last time there were any amendments or changes made to our bylaws was in April of 2014. So I guess if there's any questions on those or any discussion, or I know in the past, I think there's been some back and forth with the city attorney's office when it comes to the bylaws. So obviously this is something that we can, if there's significant questions or discussion on, we can postpone action on the bylaws until a later meeting. But I guess if anyone has any questions or items they'd like to bring up regarding the bylaws, feel free to do so now. Yeah, Dave?
Did the bylaws get sent out to us? Because I don't recall seeing it as a digital file.
I think there was a link to them, but I could be mistaken.
Well, I have to admit I haven't looked at them, but
I don't think there was any changes anyway, so correct me if I'm wrong, Kristen. There wasn't any changes.
No proposed changes. The bylaws are linked under this item on the agenda that I'm trying to pull up.
Okay, thank you.
Here.
I'll go back to that.
Yeah, Todd.
Yeah, they're entitled rules. So I read through them. I was reminded again of the order of the meeting. This is on Article 10, that petitioners do get a chance to rebut any of the public comments. So I think we've done that, but it was a useful reminder for me.
Yes, any other questions or discussion on the bylaws? Or I guess I'm open to suggestions on how you want to handle them, if you'd like to move to approve them tonight, or if we delay action on those until a later meeting.
I'll move to approve them tonight.
All right, we have do we have support? Support from Nicole. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we've renewed the bylaws. Moving on to communications, we addressed that as part of the submittals, I believe. Public commentary, anyone who wishes to speak will have 3 minutes to do so. If you would like to speak, please call in and raise your hand.
Caller ending in 039. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Hi, Craig Salveson. I live in 3 Ridgeway, right next to 7 Ridgeway, which is currently being proposed to overhang my house by nearly 20 feet at a distance of 15 feet on the side. I just really strongly wanted to encourage everyone to have a close look at the outpouring of letters from people on our block. It's been a community effort because it's a hypothetical proposal. It's not very well diagrammed. There's no elevations, et cetera. There's literally string tied to rope as we're trying to figure out sort of where the corners are. And I think some of us pointed out some factual issues with the application. I'm concerned procedurally that the applicant has time to sort of tailor response to that. I think the current state of things is important. I'd really appreciate if you have nothing better to do during the COVID quarantine, please have a look at what we have submitted. Thank you very much.
Could I have the commenter re-identify himself? I did not catch your name, sir.
Beg your pardon, Craig Salveson. I'm at 3 Ridgeway, which is originally the same property as 7 Ridgeway, subdivided by the applicant in 1995, sold to me without the side lot. The other lot was not for sale in 2017. Now applying to change the zoning rules according to the understanding of which I bought number 3.
I did read through it. Yours were 1 of 2 very detailed letters, so I will reread them.
Correct.
Again.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Great. I didn't want to assume that you don't. Just my plea, because this has been such a, it's been all-nighters for some of us, and people spanning about 60 years of age difference, tying strings and trying to find mistakes in the road. So we just, if they're allowed to change the things that, obviously clash with each other, that sort of undercut the assumption of good faith, and just want everyone to see that now. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else from the public who wishes to speak? You'll have 3 minutes. Please raise your hand if you would like to speak at this time. All right, I will say real quickly before we adjourn. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
I have a question. Will the staff be resubmitting those letters from neighbors when the 7 Ridgeway comes before us? So that'll be in the packet with that proposal?
Yes.
Great. And I'll make a public comment. I'm wondering if the city staff might, since the university is basically closed, if you could request them to comply with our zoning code, our sign ordinance, and turn off their electronic billboard by the stadium while they're closed. It's advertising things that aren't even happening, like their basketball season.
Dave, we're not closed. I'm working every day, man. I'm working pretty hard right now.
I might have an idea about who to send an email to.
This fantasy basketball?
I hear your point, though, Dave. I understand your point. I can't disagree.
All right. Any other comment? Yes,
Maybe
Dave.
we could.
That I'll move that we adjourn.
A motion from Dave. Support. Support from Elizabeth. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Stay
It was
healthy.
a unique experience, but I